Seniors, beware. This week's energetic shift may feel subtle, but your body feels it deeply. If you've noticed leg weakness, unusual fatigue, or balance issues, you're not alone. What's unfolding in the invisible layers of energy is silently targeting your mobility. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why your legs might be the first to warn you. Asterisk, the sun hadn't even risen yet when Eleanor, 72, tried to get out of bed and nearly fell. Her legs felt like jelly. She clutched the nightstand, confused, no pain, no warning, just ... weakness. She hadn't changed her diet, no new medications, no recent falls, but something was off. The floor felt uneven, her balance shaky. As she slowly made her way to the kitchen, she noticed the hallway light flicker. A soft hum filled the air. Low, constant, almost imperceptible. She paused, her hand on the wall. "Is it just me?" she whispered. It wasn't. Not even close. Across the city, dozens of other seniors were waking up to the same strange sensation, but none of them had any idea what was really happening beneath the surface. Asterisk by mid. Eleanor was sitting on her porch, sipping tea and scrolling through her neighborhood group on Facebook. A post caught her eye. Anyone else feeling strange leg weakness today? Like ... Your knees just don't want to cooperate. Dozens of comments had already flooded in. My calves are sore and I didn't do anything. I almost tripped on the stairs, thought I was just getting old. Same here. Felt dizzy getting out of bed. What's going on? Eleanor's fingers trembled slightly as she typed, "Me too. Something feels different." But no one had an answer. No news report. No medical alert. Just silence and the quiet spread of a question no one could quite put into words. Why now? Asterisk. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, a retired energy healer in Sedona was preparing to send out a warning, one she hadn't written in over 20 years. Asterisk in the red canyons of Sedona, Arizona. Mav Reynolds lit at 83. Her movements were slow but deliberate. She hadn't written a public bulletin since her late husband passed, but this morning, the pool was undeniable. She had woken before dawn, sweating, her legs cramping. And then came the vision, a web of dim light tightening around the legs of the elderly, heavy, binding, silent. Maeve's pulse quickened as she placed her hand over an old leather-bound journal. "The shift has begun," she whispered. She opened her laptop and began to write. "Elder kin, if your legs feel heavy today, it is not your age. The energetic field is shifting. The root chakra is under attack. You must ground. You must resist." She clicked post and whispered a prayer into the stillness. Within minutes, her message began spreading not just through spiritual forums, but into private senior communities around the world. Asterisk, and deep in one of those communities, Eleanor saw the post and felt a cold shiver run through her legs. Asterisk, Eleanor reread the message 3 times. The root chakra is under attack. She didn't know what a chakra really was, but she knew what her body was telling her, and it matched every word Maeve had written. She clicked on Maeve's profile. Thousands of followers, dozens of past predictions, and under the post, comments like, "Finally, someone said it." This explains everything. My legs haven't stopped trembling since yesterday. One reply stood out. It's always the legs first. That's where the fear settles. Eleanor blinked. She hadn't felt afraid. Not exactly, but maybe that's what the heaviness was. Not just weakness, but unspoken fear pressing down. She stood up. Her legs shook. She turned to her hallway mirror and stared at her reflection. I need to understand what's happening, she murmured. Not at the doctor. Not on Google. Somewhere deeper. Eleanor's heart pounded. She didn't know this woman. She hadn't commented, hadn't liked the post, but the message was there, clear, direct. Eleanor, I felt you. Hands trembling, she replied. Who are you? How did you know my name? The typing bubble appeared, then vanished, then returned. Finally, the response came. You're not alone. This week, the energetic field is shifting downward. Seniors feel it first, especially those whose spirits have carried too much for too long. Eleanor stared at the screen, unsure what to say. Maeve continued, Your legs are speaking not of illness, but of weight. Emotional, spiritual, ancestral. It's time to release. Something cracked open inside her. A wave of warmth ran down from her chest to her knees, and for the first time that day, she didn't feel fear. She felt seen. But Maeve's next message was more urgent and far more cryptic. You must act before Friday night. That's when the cord seals. Eleanor didn't sleep that night. Maeve's words echoed in her mind. Before Friday night, the cord seals. What cord? What would seal? The next morning, she sat at her kitchen table with a notepad and a question. What is weighing me down? She wrote, the guilt over not visiting her sister before she passed, the loneliness of quiet dinners with no one across the table, the fear of falling and no one noticing for hours. Her pen stopped. Tears fell silently onto the paper. Her legs began to tingle. Not pain, but something stirring. Alive. She stood and walked outside barefoot. Remembering Maeve's advice, touch the earth. Let it remember you. The cold morning grass felt electric. She closed her eyes, and for a brief second, the heaviness lifted. But back inside, a strange alert blinked on her phone. Incoming solar flux. Atmospheric shift expected within 48 hours. Maeve hadn't mentioned that. Yet, Eleanor stared at the alert. Solar flux? Atmospheric shift? It sounded scientific, but it felt like confirmation something was truly happening to her, around her, to others. That she opened the group again. New posts were pouring in. My legs feel like I'm dragging weights. Fell twice this morning. I'm 68. This isn't normal. I live alone. I'm scared. Maeve had posted to the sun is moving through a field of geomagnetic unrest. This amplifies fear in the body, especially in the lower limbs. Don't ignore tingling, numbness, or sudden fatigue. It's your body trying to speak through energy. Eleanor read the last line over and over. Her body wasn't failing. It was warning. And she was finally listening. Maeve's next message was more specific than ever. At 9:13 p.m. Friday, the field will lock in what you carry by then. You keep. Eleanor checked the clock. It was already Thursday. Thursday evening, Eleanor lit a candle in her living room. She'd never done anything like this before, but something inside her, maybe the part that had been ignored for decades, was guiding her now. She placed a bowl of warm water at her feet, sprinkled a pinch of salt, and whispered, "I'm ready to let go." As she soaked her feet, she imagined every regret, fear, and lonely memory flowing down her legs and dissolving into the water. Her breathing deepened. The tingling in her calves faded, and for a moment, she felt light. Her phone buzzed again. A new message from Maeve. "You're doing it. But one more thing remains. The walking ritual. Just 10 steps barefoot at 9:12 p.m. Outside, Eleanor looked out at her garden. The grass was wet with evening dew. The night air chilled her skin. Could 10 steps really change anything? Eleanor's breath caught. The silhouette stood motionless by the gate, tall, cloaked in nights, but not menacing. She stepped closer to the window. Just then, a breeze carried the scent of rosemary and lavender, her mother's garden scent. The figure vanished. Her heart calmed. It wasn't fear. It was memory. And maybe release. 9:11 p.m. She slipped off her slippers and stepped onto the grass. The earth was cold, soft, alive. She took one step, then another. By the third, her legs trembled, not from weakness, but from something leaving. Grief, guilt, weights that didn't belong anymore. By the 10th step, her feet tingled. Her knees steadied. And the moment her heel touched the ground at 9:12 p.m., the clouds parted. A sliver of moonlight lit her face. She smiled. And inside, on her phone, Maeve's final message had arrived. One that wasn't meant just for Eleanor, but for everyone. Eleanor walked back inside, barefoot and calm. Her phone buzzed one last time. Maeve's message read, "If you've walked your 10 steps, you've broken the chain. The energy won't grip you anymore." But others haven't felt it yet. They will tomorrow morning, and when they do, they'll need someone to guide them, someone who remembers the weight and how to let it go. Eleanor exhaled slowly, not out of relief, but purpose. Her legs felt rooted, firm, not just healed, but reclaimed. She turned off the porch light and stood in the doorway, watching the night stretch ahead like a quiet promise. Tomorrow, she would help the others, but tonight, she would sleep, not in fear, but in knowing her body had spoken, and she had finally answered